Thank you very much. Dean has got a question.
Thank you, Chair. And may I just say, James, Darren, thanks for your powerful testimony earlier. It was very moving. Helen, my question, it ties into the previous questions in a way, but it's about how does the learnings from these awful incidents get fed back right into the start of training? Because it sounds to me like a lot of the challenges here is that it waits for an incident to happen, and then there's a court case or whatever, and then the learnings then could be months, if not years later. I understand that might then be reported back to the trust and perhaps that's shared more broadly, but is that also being shared right back at the early stages of training for new doctors and nurses and maternity staff?
Thank you for that question. I think that there's two things there. The first is the Royal Colleges have a big role to play there. Royal College of Obstetricians has something called Learn and Support, which we feed information into, which aims to get to obstetricians in training so that they can pay attention to the lessons that come out of legal claims to feed into their sort of everyday practice. So there is a route there through the Royal Colleges, and the Royal College of Midwives as well has a role to play there. I think the area of training that we're most keen to get involvement in is skills in delivering, engaging with families and communication skills, and that's something which we think is probably lacking in professional training at an early stage. We hear that people have this sort of ingrained belief, for example, that you shouldn't admit liability on a case, you shouldn't be open with a family because it might result in litigation. That's something which we've constantly tried to debunk and to encourage candour. Now that's something I think which could be built far more effectively into clinical training.
And can I just ask very briefly as well, just around near misses, because I imagine, in these awful cases like we've heard today, the worst possible outcome happened. But I imagine there may have been very many other examples where the ultimate outcome wasn't the same, but actually the lead up to it could have been. And I just wonder whether there's a monitoring of those near misses once you found out what the pathway was to these awful cases.
Yes, it's an interesting question. 50% of the cases that we get don't result in a compensation payment, and we only see the tip of the iceberg, with lawyers generally only put forward 1 in every 10 cases that they see. So there's an awful lot of information there which is relevant but hasn't resulted in a compensation claim. I think, again, we only see the thin end of the wedge. We don't get to see the many incidents which would happen, or the near misses that happen in the NHS, which don't come to us as a claim as well. And that's where I think the role of incident reporting and the work that NHS England and Improvement are doing there is extremely important.